Yes, I'm painting stone, I'm painting waves, but I'm thinking about shape and now a little bit about line and how those two can make this painting a little more interesting. I've taped down a piece of paper. This is roughly 12 by 16. Again, it's got some rough surface to it. And I'm going to place my subject now into that sheet. Let's see here. Okay, let's loosely sketch this. My horizon line, so it's rather high in the painting. I want to avoid the center when laying out the painting. The center is kind of an area we try to avoid. It makes our image a little static if we put it too close to the center. I have a breaking wave. And I have a lot of interesting rock shapes here. Some nice movement to those rocks, which I'm just going to kind of lightly place some of the major lines. Big shapes, that makes it a little easier for us to paint. A little wave out there. Tended to put something on the horizon, but maybe we'll just do a little bit of fog on the horizon or something like that. These are the divisions in the rock. So we have a bright area moving through the upper center area of our painting. It's good, slightly offset. We have some angles created by our rocks which lead us to this area. In terms of light and dark, this is going to be a very light area, complemented by stronger midtones all around, and a few well-placed darks in some shadow passages that, again, kind of surround our subject. So the light is coming strong from the right side. Low light, it's just about that time of day when sunset or twilight occurs. So the light is very direct, very low. Some distant rocks out here as well. Make a little more of those. And a big focal point here is this kind of billowing shape of our wave, our crashing wave. Okay, so we've got the basics in play. I believe you can see that in my rendering. I'll make the lines a little darker so we can see that. some pools of foam or water. I'm painting this almost as much for the rocks as I am the waves, because I just love the formations, the cracks, the little ins and outs. We have another sort of pool back here. Another pool through here of foam or water. We can't be really sure. Any case, tells us that the sea is very active. So there you see it. A lot of angular hard edges and this big billowing soft edge, kind of contrasting all that. All right, so I have the usual characters, kind of a big mop brush to get things going. I got a smaller brush for more controlled application in the waves. And like I said, this first pass I want to be, I'm going to use a warm hue followed by some blue, yellow ochre followed by some blue, trying to create lost and found edges through the breaking waves here. And then finish off the sky, if I can. We'll see. So let's start by kind of spot wetting. Actually, first, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but it's not a bad idea to have some color ready to go. Look at what I'm doing. I'm mixing up a couple of the colors that I plan to use. Yellow ochre, a little bit of lavender over here, and then you're not really, it's not going to work. Okay, we'll do the cool hues down here. Warm hues above, cool hues down here. Lavender, a little bit of cobalt, mixing up a blue of rather strong. Stronger than you think, because we're going to work into a wet area. And I'm graying it also. Some yellow ochre here, a little bit of burnt sienna as well. I think I just mix all that stuff up together just to have something to put into the painting while it's wet. So I prepare a few colors beforehand. You don't have to prepare a big puddle, but you want to have some color ready to go. All right. Let's start by spot wetting our image. We're going to just take a little bit of pale yellow ochre and start to isn't that fun? Leaving some whites there, and then as it comes up we kind of make it a little flatter. A little flatter, a little darker. Now we have something in front of our eyes that we can see and play upon. I'm going to put even a little bit of stronger stuff around here. All right, so let's build up that blue quality. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush for that. I'm going to dry off a little bit of this, and with a small brush I'm going to attack that wave. Keep it wet, gives us a little more time. Blue, that's right, blue, stronger, lavender, and a little bit of burnt sienna. All right, let's try some wet into wet. And then we'll try for some lost and found edges. A little darker. All right, that has to be done. Let's now work into the sky. Sky, I'm going to get darker. A little bit of my ultramarine, a little bit of lavender, a little bit of burnt sienna to gray it, darker. It's a little too much liquid. Right. A little too dark. A little more water. This is about the color of the sea. Yeah, so I need to make it just a little lighter, a little paler. Use a little cerulean. Keep it wet. And let's do that. A little darker in the left-hand sky. So it's going to drift down. But we just let it drift. We let it go. Now let's go for the rocks. this is good enough as it is. We have some lost and found, some wet edges, a rather gradual transition up above. Let's go for the color of the rocks. I'm going to be using mostly warm hues to get started, working wet into wet. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to be painting right into that wet area with yellow ochre. And as I come down, I'm going to be isolating those little pool areas, the areas where some foam or water is gathering, and I'm going to leave those white. But I want to get this covered pretty quickly and keep it wet as long as I can, so I can mix in some little reddish hues. You know, we have some red, we have some red. Maybe not that much red. I'm not worried about the red because of how it's going to dry so much lighter. Continue some burnt sienna here and there. Burnt sienna has a lot of red also. More yellow ochre. Okay. Sienna. We have a little bit of a pool here as well. Yeah, let's put some more sienna. Look, I'm taking it right out of the well into my brush, into a wet area, working wet into wet. Yellow ochre, more yellow ochre too. Wet into wet. Let's take out, and we don't need to take it out, we'll just continue to shape it. Guess I'm just using the big brush at this point. Okay, no problem. Some nice whites we're leaving. A little darker up here. Okay, another thing we can do for some texture is to throw a little water on this. While it's still wet, we get some interesting texture. It won't take control of the scene, but it'll give us some nice stuff. All right, Then we let this dry. We let it dry, and we'll come back with dry technique. All right, we're ready. First thing I'm going to do is carry some water back here, and then I'm going to work into it with a deeper, darker hue. And I'm just going to do to this first edge of the way. Well, I'll do the whole sky, but I'm really only going to paint the left side right over everything. Don't worry about the white, it's still going to read as a bright color. Just the water area. We don't need to go into the rocks just yet, just the water area. All right. Now, small brush, we start to build the ocean. Ocean is using a little bit of ultramarine blue, a little bit of red or burnt sienna, but quite thick, quite dark. Let's make a touch here. And see how it looks. Could be a little darker. One of the keys is to really keep the paint kind of thick and dry. So it might look dark on the palette, but it also needs to look thick. This is going to be a little better. So I take my small brush and start to create that edge of the ocean. What I'm going to do here is actually start to create the feeling of the waves. And notice that I'm getting soft edges, but the paint is not moving. So this is making me rather happy. I'm glad about this. And we've managed this by just staying on this side. But here, and defining the edge of this wave, in and out, right? We're not doing anything special, just defining the edge of the wave. And we do the same thing on the right side. I'm going to add a few blues into the wave while it's still wet. Make sure it's still wet. A few blues into this wave. These are just slightly lighter, but and I'm following very much the pattern that I see already in place. In other words, I'm not trying to impose the photograph onto this. I don't want to do that. I want to follow the pattern that's already been created by our lost and found edges. I'm going to snake some of this in here. So I stay on this left side until I feel, right, it's good enough, I can move on. A little darker. Okay. Is it close enough? You know, it's good enough for now. We may do some adjustments after all's said and done, but we'll do that once we get the stones and the rocks also working. I'm wetting this area again. Now I'm coming back with the same blue. Same blue. Do a little more of a watery stuff through here. Just trying to stay above the rocks for the moment. Their time will come. Right, and then we come to the behind. Again, dark blue that has some red, some yellow ochre underneath, and so we get a little bit of a greenish hue resulting, which is absolutely fine. Step back, make sure you're getting the right height. Can be a little darker. That just means thicker, less water on the brush. We're letting that wave just break the horizon. I think that's about as good as I can make it. So I'm not terribly wed to the photograph, as you can tell. One more. You know, I think we got a good one. Again, I'm following the structure that was created by that first application of lost and found edges. Even this horizon line is soft, disappearing into the distance. We can also take some of this and, you know, create a little action. Okay, all right, I'm ready to move into the rocks. The rocks, I've been told, are very hard. Ha ha ha. Okay, enough humor. Let's move into the rocks, and we're going to use some stronger brushwork here. I have a mop brush, and I'm going to carry out this burnt sienna with a little bit of blue. So we're graying everything now. In the beginning, we were rather pure. And I'm aiming to capture some of those very nice bright lights of the faces of the rock that are hitting, catching the light. So I've got to be a little careful. Let's come under this wave here. See, this front edge of our wave is still quite wet, and I'm inclined to go in and get some soft darks here as well. These darks, however, are going to have more of the burnt sienna, less of the blue. Okay. Just starting to build on this. And I'm, pretty confident we can always return with some drier technique later on. We don't have to capture everything in this pass. Okay, I'm going to take some dry brush now, using this flat brush. I want to get some burnt sienna, maybe a little sepia. Okay, so nice, rich, warm dark. And get some of that dry brush. This is helping me to express the quality of the stone. Do some more of that. Looking for thickness. About like that. Okay, continue. This is going to have some shadow all over it, so take some of that blue. And start to create more texture. I got a little watery because I introduced a new brush. So now I have to find the right consistency again. Okay, good. And just naturally we get some really beautiful edges here that I'm going to build upon, which I would have completely missed had I really followed the photograph implicitly. Remember that. I tell myself to remember that because I get trapped by the photograph just as easily as the next person. Right, we're getting a little feel to the stones. I like that. Some of that dry brush. And I want to catch one bright aspect to this ridge right here. To do that, I need to kind of build the shadow down up here, like this. Like this. Back here too, yes, yes, but with a little more blue, I think. Okay, so now we can start to play some stronger darks with the smaller brush, really make that sunlight come alive. We've taken care of a lot of the mid-tone shadows. I'm going to add just a little more to this one. I have to return to this and glaze it a little bit at the end. Okay. Where was I? A little bit of blue before I start to make the strong darks. I'm going to put a little more blue across here. Eventually that'll get a lot darker. Yeah, I want to build in some really strong darks as a reference now. Where am I going to use those stronger darks? Again, through some of the area we've already defined, but smaller amounts. And very much follow the pattern that's already in place. Leave this area sort of untouched for the moment and concentrate on the stones for a little bit. So basically I see a pattern of rising darks and edges kind of emerging from the painting as it was accomplished through the underpainting and this secondary shadow. And that's what's my guide right now. Not I am looking for some key elements in the, such as a dark through here, strong dark. Really bring out as much as I can that light quality, that low light. Add some of the texture of the stones as well. I guess we could say we've kind of entered a detailed stage. Let's try a little dry brush. A few too many brushes in my hand. Interesting. Interesting can be good or bad. I won't say any more than that. So I'm just playing with the line a little bit. Still keeping a very abstract quality, mostly thinking about shape. Yes, I'm painting stone, I'm painting waves, but I'm thinking about shape and now a little bit about line and how those two can make this painting a little more interesting. Back here. Every once in a while I have to glance over there at that photo, see what's going on, get a clue. Continue. Let's follow what the painting is telling us. Everything is here, we just have to bring it out. I think someone famous said that. Was it Michelangelo, maybe? The sculptor is there. The sculpture is there. I just have to release it. I think he said something like that. Okay, some cracks in the rocks below. At this stage, you'll notice that I go back and forth quite a bit, both from the color standpoint and from the light and dark, depending on what I see or sometimes what I am unsure about. I'll put a mark to see if I can make it read a little better. Okay, I want to adjust some of the whites here right now. And I'm going to put, I know it's seafoam, but I'm going to make it more as a sort of a blue that's reflecting the sky, I think. So a little bit of a pretty blue here. Some edge, yes. Now the white of the wave can come out just a little more. Still, I'd like it to come forward a little more. Let's see what we can do underneath it. With some darks, burnt sienna, a little bit of Payne's gray. Give a glance at my image a second. No. Oh well, let's just keep going with these dark decorative marks onto our stone till we feel, it's enough. A little bit of darkness. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. My Bonnie lies over the sea. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. Oh, bring back my Bonnie to me. Right.